Welcome to this north of normal town, Fargo, North Dakota. This is the city of frost and fire. You're going to learn all about everybody here, one person at a time. It's the Fargo Five. We've got from Capital Credit Union, my old friend, Paul Cook. Hello, Paul.
Hey, Conrad. Thanks for having me on. Great to be here.
Thanks for coming. Welcome, welcome. So, Paul, you are a mortgage lender. That's how I know you. I'm a realtor at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Premier Properties. You're a mortgage lender. We work together. We've known each other for, 4 years now?
Probably about 4 or 5 years now,
yeah,
yes.
Been a while. How long have you been doing mortgages, though?
Well, I've been worked in the mortgage industry for about 24 years.
Oh, my.
Originally, I was an underwriter and credit analyst, and I've been a mortgage originator for about 5.5 years now.
And were you always doing that in Fargo, or?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I was always out of Fargo.
Where was your first place at?
First job was at U.S. Bank,
Okay.
and I worked for their broker loan division, so we had a network of mortgage brokers throughout the United States where we'd lend to.
25 years ago.
Roughly 24 years ago.
Okay,
yes.
where was that location at?
That was out of the service center at U.S. Bank. So
Okay.
the majority of that building is credit cards, but we
Yeah.
had a mortgage shop in there as well.
Right off of 45th Street there, right?
Yep, that's right.
Man, is that building 25 years old?
I think it is.
How old am I? I must have been 12 when it was built, because I remember it was all grass fields out there. Wasn't it? But it's all filled in around it. That service center was put up first, huh?
I think the service center was put up probably about 95 or 96.
Wow.
And I think at one point there was, probably about 2,000 people working there.
Because there was no hotels there.
Right.
The hotels, those all came in much later. Like everything, the service center was just put right there. I didn't realize that.
Right.
It's been there for a long time. Now, are you a native to Fargo, North Dakota?
Nope. I was born in Montana, and I grew up
Montana?
Yes, Great Falls, Montana. And I lived in Great Falls and Billings when I was a little kid. Moved to Bismarck in third grade, and I grew up in Bismarck. Finished high school there. Went to Bismarck State College for a couple of years.
Okay.
Then Grand Forks for 3 years. I was on the 5-year plan for college. Graduated there and came to Fargo, and I've been here ever since.
My wife is a big fan. She's going to be starstruck knowing you're from Montana, because she watches Yellowstone, and so now to her, Montana is like this big, exciting place where all these things happen. Can you confirm? Was it?
Montana is fantastic.
Is it full of like just cowboy gangsters who run the place? Or have you seen Yellowstone?
I have seen just a couple snippets. There are definitely cowboys. From my little kid perspective, I don't know if there were gangsters or a whole lot of nefarious activities going on, but it is fantastic, very scenic. I have an aunt and uncle that had this little bit of a ranch farm along. It's called the Stillwater River. Just a super nice place to be. We'd go down there, go fishing for trout in the river. It's a great place.
And so then what brought you to North Dakota? You said you moved to Bismarck for college?
Yep. So I moved to Bismarck in third grade. My dad formerly had worked for Shields. And back then it was more of a hardware store. And he kind of transferred back between North Dakota and Montana. And he opened up a hardware store in Bismarck. So that was the reason for coming back to Bismarck.
Oh, your father is an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then so your father was an entrepreneur in Bismarck, and you said to yourself, I'm going to move to Grand Forks?
Well, that was for school.
For school.
I decided to stick closer to home. Went to college at Bismarck State, and a lot of the reason I went there is I wanted to play sports. I played baseball there a couple of years, and 1 year of junior college hoops. And then I went to Grand Forks. I played baseball there and got a degree in finance.
I never knew that about you in sports. So I'm not a sports person.
Okay.
I don't. So you got to tell me.
I knew that, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, so in baseball, is there positions or everybody takes turns doing everything, right?
Nope. There's 9 positions.
Okay.
I was a pitcher and outfielder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Younger levels, pitcher and outfielder, and a little bit of first base.
Did you ever think you were going to go pro?
It's kind of the dream of anybody that ever plays sports, but I was pretty decent, but not quite there.
Not quite.
But if you can play a kid's game and get paid for it, I think probably everybody would do that.
Okay. So, but you went to school in Bismarck then, college in Bismarck.
Yep. I graduated from Century and then Bismarck State. Yep.
And then you went over to Grand Forks.
Right.
And what did you do in Grand Forks? That was your first job, or no?
Nope. After I graduated from Grand Forks, I came to Fargo. Got a job working at Dakota Tech Computers.
Okay. I'm trying to follow.
So
you started school in Bismarck.
Graduated high school, finished school in Grand Forks.
College was in Grand Forks.
Yep, absolutely.
At UND.
Yep.
So you're a Sioux.
Right.
I see. And the sports people, they're probably going to have a problem with that. Have you ever found that being a trouble? You get like some real big NDSU people find out you're a Sioux, don't want to.
Oh, I mean, you always get the ribbing. I've been living in Fargo long enough. If they hear you're a Grand Forks guy, they'll definitely give you some ribbing.
I feel like it's the Bison versus the Sioux, and Vikings or Vikings versus the Packers, right? Like people take that very like. It's almost worse than Protestants and Catholic.
Right.
It's pretty intense.
I mean, if you're wearing a UND sweatshirt, you could be in Minneapolis or something. You might hear like a Susak walking through the airport or something. You know,
that's crazy. So tell me what it was like when you came to Fargo. What was that? Dakota Tech?
Yeah. So that was a computer hardware company. I got a job there. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and back then Fargo population was probably maybe 65, 70,000.
What year was this?
Would have been 94.
Oh, okay.
And since then, it's just been booming.
Yeah. Well, and this was before the flood.
Right.
So you left Grand Forks before the flood.
Right.
Yep. And then, okay. And so what was it like experience? So you're from Western North Dakota and Montana.
Right.
Like that's the West, clearly, like out there. And then you came into Eastern North Dakota and Fargo. What was like, was there a big culture shock at all? What was the big differences for you?
Well, the big thing I noticed is there's no hills. It's so flat.
Yes, it really, yeah.
And then culture-wise, I mean, you know, it's about the same. I think politically it might be a little more liberal here, but I think the people seem very similar to me.
Very similar. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so then you worked Dakota Tech for how long before you?
I worked there a few years. Initially I was kind of thinking I was going to get into the banking industry.
Yeah.
And I think that was the job that became available. And I worked there a few years. It's a good company, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do. And then after a few years, I went over to U.S. Bank and got into the mortgage industry.
That's great. And then the rest is history. And did I tell you that the segments go very fast?
Yes, you did.
That was already like 5, 6, 7 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It goes very, very quick. We're going to listen. So you supplied me with some music. So having gone to graduated college in 94, I don't know that I expected this song selection from you. Kid Rock with Ba Wada Ba. Tell me about that choice. Tell me.
Well, I've seen Kid Rock in concert a couple times.
You have.
Puts on a good show, and I don't know, I like the song.
So I mean, I know you as Paul Cook, the mortgage guy, you know, and we talk, and I, you know, blah 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 about finances all the time with you. I didn't know you were all into like baseball and Kid Rock. That's a whole other.
Yeah, back in the day, I was really into like a lot of heavy metal rock stuff, and a lot of Metallica, and then also Kid Rock's pretty good too.
That's really cool. That's cool. Well, we're going to listen to that, and then we come back. We're going to talk about the Home and Garden Show on the Fargo Fun that's coming up, so don't go nowhere.